Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony will begin in 5 minutes. Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 5th Brigade Signal Corps 102nd Training Division Maneuver Support Change of Command Ceremony. I am Major Paul Eichwurzel, the 5th Brigade Adjutant, and will be your narrator today. We are honored to have Brigadier General Matthew Baker, 102nd Training Division Commanding General, presiding over today's ceremony, where Colonel Richard Delgado, Jr. will relinquish command to Colonel Christine Rommel. Today's traditional, yet simple event is rich with symbolism and heritage. We are honored to present this virtually given the COVID-19 pandemic and are glad you have joined us today. We are also pleased to recognize our distinguished guests, general officers, commanders, command sergeants major, distinguished visitors, and members of the military community joining us online today. Battalion command teams, commandants, command sergeants major, and the soldiers of the 5th Brigade. Command Sergeant Major Brent Hamill, 3rd of the 95th Command Sergeant Major, who has coordinated the massive technical piece to bring us all together and make this online event happen. And lastly, to our families and friends across the globe, without your continued support, today would not be possible. We appreciate your loyalty, encouragement, and participation. Brigadier General Matthew V. Baker is the Commanding General of the 102nd Training Division Maneuver Support and the Deputy Commanding General of Mobilization and Training for the United States Army Maneuver Support Center of Excellence. Prior to his current assignment, Brigadier General Baker served as the Deputy Commanding General of Support, 416th Theater Engineer Command, Chief of Staff of the 416th Theater Engineer Command, Commander of the 1st Brigade Engineer, 102nd Training Division Maneuver Support, Deputy Commander of the 372nd Engineer Brigade, Fort Snelling, Minnesota, and as the Battalion Commander for 389th Engineering Battalion in Dubuque, Iowa. General Baker previously served as the Assistant Information Officer, Information Management Officer, and Emergency Operations Center Chief at the 416th Theater Engineer Command in Darien, Illinois. Brigadier General Baker held numerous command and staff positions throughout the United States Army Reserve, along with numerous positions of increasing responsibility in multiple deployments, including Task Force Engineer, Task Force Mountain in Bagram, Afghanistan, as Observer Controller Trainer with the 85th Training Division in Fort Sheridan, Illinois. He also served as the aide-de-camp, executive officer, and personal security officer to Major General Heine, Director of Operations, Iraq Reconstruction Management Office for the Multiple National Force Iraq in Baghdad, Iraq. He is a graduate of the United States Army Command and Services Staff School, the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College, and the United States Army War College. He earned his Bachelor of Science degree in Mathematics and Computer Science from the University of Illinois, Chicago, and has a Master's of Strategic Studies from the United States Army War College. 5th Brigade Commander Colonel Richard Delgado, Jr. was born in Las Cruces, New Mexico. He was commissioned through the Reserve Training Officer Corps at the New Mexico State University, where he majored in electrical engineering technology. He received a reserve commission in 1990, then received Distinguished Military Graduate Honors and a regular Army commission in 1991. Colonel Delgado's Army career is diverse with several services across various components and branches. His first assignment was as an enlisted soldier and later as the Chaparral System Platoon Leader in the New Mexico Army National Guard. He served 6 years on active duty, first assigned as an armor officer, M1 Tank Platoon Leader, 1st of the 11th Armored Cav Division, Fulda, Germany. He was branch transferred to the Signal Corps and assigned to the 440th Signal Battalion in Darmstadt, Germany, serving as a staff officer, then company executive officer. As United States Army Reserve officer, he has served in various command positions and key positions across the reserve signal community. In 2010, he was deployed to Kuwait, Afghanistan, and Iraq as a G35 Projects and Engineering Chief with the 335th Signal Command. Colonel Delgado commanded the 98th Expeditionary Signal Battalion in Mesa, Arizona, relinquishing command in May of 2014. He also was mobilized again in September 2017 to assume the role as Chief of Staff, 335th Signal in Camp Arif John, Kuwait. Colonel Delgado assumed command of the 5th Brigade Signal Corps, 102nd Training Division Maneuver Support in July 2018. Colonel Delgado is a graduate of the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College and the U.S. Army War College, where he earned a Master of Science degree in Strategic Studies. In his civilian capacity, he is a technical director with the Defense Information Systems Agency Joint Interoperability Test Command in Fort Huachuca, Arizona. Colonel Delgado and his wife, Christine, have been married for 29 years. They have 3 daughters, Marissa, Mariah, and Miranda, and make their home in Sierra Vista, Arizona. Incoming Commander Colonel Christine Rummel was commissioned as a 2nd lieutenant in the regular Army Signal Corps at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Florida in 1992. Throughout her career, she has served in various commands and key positions in support of ongoing worldwide missions, to include Brigade Signal Officer, 16th Military Police Brigade Airborne, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. At this point in her military career, Colonel Rummel left active duty and joined the reserves, where her assignments include Plans Officer and CE Staff Officer at NETCOM 9th ASC, Fort Huachuca, Arizona. She also was Battalion Commander of the 4th Battalion, 415th Regiment in West Hartford, Connecticut, and G6 U.S. Army Civil Affairs and Psychological Operations Command, USACAPOC. Colonel Rummel has mobilized numerous times, most recently in 2017-2018, dual-headed as the 335th Signal Command Theater Provisional, Deputy Commander and Communications Integrator, Afghanistan. Colonel Rummel recently served as a G6 108th Training Command. In her civilian capacity, she is the Enterprise Services Branch Chief in the U.S. Armed Forces Command, FORSCOM G6, where she is working with the Department of the Army on strategic activities in support of the Army Network Plan 2019 through 2038 and activation of 5th Corps, the Army's 4th Active Component Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the invocation given by Chaplain Montgomery and remain standing for the national anthem sung by the U.S. Army Choir.
Let us pray. Lord, you have been our dwelling place throughout all generations. Before the mountains were born, you brought forth the whole world from everlasting to everlasting. And on today, we ask your blessings on this ceremony and all who are in attendance. And we seek a special blessing on our outgoing commander, Colonel Delgado, who has served faithfully to the call in which you have entrusted him. And we also ask that you bless our incoming commander. Let your presence rest upon her. In all that she does, may she seek you first, and that you may guide her in the paths of righteousness for your name's sake. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose rough stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. You may be seated. The change of command ceremony is a simple and traditional event that runs deep in symbolism and heritage. Today's ceremony, as it has throughout history, will capture the transfer of authority and responsibility of command as it transitions from one officer to another. Until modern times, it was not uncommon for warriors in the field to be unable to identify or to recognize their leaders. A formal change of command ceremony, such as today's, afforded them the opportunity to witness the proceedings and, perhaps more importantly, to see at close range their new leader. The change of command ceremony has survived as an integral part of military heritage to this day, passed down directly through the Continental Army of the United States. Despite the restrictions of the ongoing pandemic, today's ceremony continues that warrior heritage as we pay homage to the departing commander and publicly demonstrate our loyalty to the new. The 5th Brigade signal traces its origin to the 1920s and has a long and distinguished history, including distinguished service in Europe during World War II. The 5th Brigade was originally constituted as the 2nd Brigade 100th Infantry Division on 24 June 1921 in the organized reserves as a 325th Ammunition Train and assigned to the 100th Division. The brigade moved several times before being redesignated as the 925th Field Artillery Battalion and ordered into active military service. On 15 November 1942, the unit was reorganized under the 100th Infantry Division at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, then was deployed to Europe. As the 925th Field Artillery Battalion, the unit served with the distinction, fighting across Europe from the Ardennes to the Rhineland, and eventually serving as part of the 7th Army during the Battle of the Bulge. For 925th Artillery Battalion's contributions within the 100th Division, the unit was awarded the Ardennes-Alsace and Rhineland campaign streamers. The unit was released from active duty and inactivated on 11 January 1946. From 1946 to 2009, the unit was activated and deactivated several times in varying training and training support capabilities. The unit was eventually reconstituted and activated at Camp Parks, California on 16 September 2009 as the 2nd Brigade 100th Training Division. The 2nd Brigade 100th Division became part of the total Army school system, with a new mission as an instructional unit charged to conduct signal training. In 2010, the unit headquarters was directed to move to Sacramento, California. The brigade has 5 battalions, 2nd of the 104th Regiment in Sacramento, 3rd of the 100th Regiment in Indianapolis, Indiana, 3rd of the 95th Regiment in Albuquerque, New Mexico, 3rd of the 80th Regiment in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and 3rd of the 108th Regiment, Augusta, Georgia, and 2 high-tech signal cyber training centers, one in Sacramento, California, with the other in Tobyhanna, Pennsylvania. On 1 October 2017, the 2nd Brigade was reorganized to its current structure under the 102nd Training Division. In August 2018, the unit was redesignated as the 5th Brigade of the 102nd Training Division. On 8 March 2020, 5th Brigade uncased the colors, assuming full mission capability at Fort Gordon, Georgia, home of the U.S. Army Signal Corps and the Cyber Center of Excellence. Today, training provided by the brigade includes 9 signal military occupational specialties courses for active, reserve, and guard soldiers. In 2012, the brigade's 3 training centers have trained, since 2012, the brigade's training centers have trained thousands of signal soldiers, many of whom have deployed in support of military operations and missions across the U.S. and abroad. The transfer of colors is significant in many ways because the history, traditions, and accomplishments of the 5th Brigade are embodied in it. Even though soldiers come and go, the commanders change, the colors remain. With the transfer, the unit's legacy is passed as a building block for future performance and achievement. Historically, a unit's colors served as the point around which soldiers rallied as they moved forward into battle. The colors have traditionally been at the side of the commander and were carried forward even if the commander fell in battle. All others may perish, but the colors live on. The senior NCO of the organization is traditionally responsible for maintenance and care of the colors. Now, Command Sergeant Major Crespo passes the unit colors to the outgoing commander, Colonel Delgado, signifying the unit's appreciation for his leadership and guidance. Colonel Delgado passes the brigade colors to Brigadier General Baker, signifying the relinquishing of his command and gratitude for the opportunity to lead soldiers. General Baker then passes the colors to incoming commander, Colonel Rommel, entrusting her with the responsibility and care of the unit. Colonel Rommel passes the colors back to Sergeant Major Crespo, signifying her trust and confidence in the leaders and soldiers of the brigade. This is Command Sergeant Major Crespo's first act of allegiance to the new brigade commander. Attention to orders. In accordance with AR 600-20, paragraph 3-4, the undersigned assumes command of the 5th Brigade Signal 102nd Training Division Maneuver Support, effective 16 May 2020, signed Christine V. Rommel, Colonel, Signal Corps, U.S. Army Reserve, commanding. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commanding General of 102nd Training Division Maneuver Support, Brigadier General Matthew Baker.
Hey everyone. Hey, thanks for joining us on this this virtual change of command. It's a crazy time, and I think it's hopefully this is not the new normal, right? Hopefully we'll get past this and we'll drive on. Looking at all those slides and all those those times where we've gotten together and we weren't in social distance mode, we were in in engagement mode and being able to talk to people face to face, which is really important. But it's also important to hold this change of command and get it going forward. And thank you for putting this together. This is an elaborate change of command. A lot of effort went into this. The passing of the colors is awesome, and seeing it happen makes me want to be there in person and do this going forward. So, let's see where the new norm is. But thanks for getting here today and doing this and putting it together. A lot of work went behind it. But first of all, I want to thank Christine. Giving your husband up for being a brigade commander and throughout his career. If I do the math right, I think you guys got married shortly, either before or after he joined the military full time. So you've been in the military as long as he has. And also Marissa, Marina, and Miranda. Thanks for sharing your dad with the Army for all your your whole lives. Obviously, he's been in it and doing the right things. But first of all, I want to recognize Rich, your performance over the last couple of years as the Signal Brigade commander, which has been awesome, right? Even this year to date, you've run 77 courses and with over 1,100 students that graduated. And it's not only that, it's your professionalism, the way you can engage with the 335th, right? The 335th Command, which is, the Signal Command in the Army Reserve, the way you coordinate with the schoolhouse, the way you worked with Fort Gordon and on the moves and things like that. And just being a player, which exemplifies leadership and not just being focused on doing one thing, right? You have to focus on managing all aspects of the brigade and focusing on pushing it forward and making it better, and all the improvements that went along with it. You look at, the significant move from Sacramento to Fort Gordon, and I look at that and the leadership that you provided behind that move was just awesome, right? I didn't hear a lot of headaches. I didn't hear a lot of issues. And when I don't hear about things, I know it's being handled successfully. And I really, really appreciate the time, the dedication, and everything you've done, with the move, but not only with the move, with your command as a whole. I mean, you're able to coordinate things and make things happen so they don't have to come on my radar. The way you work with people, mission success, all those little things that you did really, really set the Signal Brigade and 5th Brigade up for success. You did an awesome job, and then on the backside, where we are today with the transition to the COVID response, and getting all those students. I mean, I think yours were the last courses that were in session, during the drawdown and the shutdown of courses, and the way you were able to manage crises and manage getting these courses completed and making sure that the soldiers were trained that were in school, and making sure that they were safe, and getting them back home to their units and their families was just another, example of how successful you were, and in the leadership that you have. And so, going forward, you're unfortunately, this is kind of your last event in your successful military career. And I want to thank you not only for being a successful brigade commander and making me look good as a division commander, but also your 28 years of service, which is awesome. And not a lot of people hit the milestones and the successes that you did, but it's just really a reflection on the type of person you are. I still remember the first time I met you. I think it was at a NoHo social. You show up. You dress to the nines, right? You look good all the time, and it was just great meeting you in person for that first time. I wish we were able to say goodbye during this time, but in person, but that's not going to happen. But hopefully, when I get to Fort Huachuca to visit the MI Brigade, we're gonna recognize you and give you the appropriate awards that you deserve, and the appropriate send off. When we get back to normal, that's either going to be in July or August. But again, I can't thank you, enough for the career you had, the success you had, and bringing me up to speed on what 5th Brigade does, in the training world. Because I came there, and all the meetings we've had, you were just awesome at making sure that I understood the current environment and where we needed to take the signal brigade, and setting up the meetings, the appropriate meetings, be it at High Tech Sacramento or High Tech Tobyhanna, meeting with the right people at Fort Gordon. So, again, awesome job. Thank you so much for everything you've done. And it doesn't go unnoticed. And I really, really did enjoy working with you. And I think everybody who has worked with you in the past really, are better people for it. All right, so now we pass it on to Christine. Colonel Rummel, thanks for taking the flag today, and I know you're going to do great things. Major General Martin said it in one of her speeches. She's the MISCO commander, that the Army gets it right. The Army most of the time gets it right, and you can see with putting Colonel Delgado in charge of 5th Brigade, but selecting you as the new 5th Brigade commander. You have just a vast amount of experience, be it on the operational side of the house, be it on the training side of the house, being it on your deployments and where you've gone for your deployments. And I think you're the right person now to really take the brigade to the next level, right? And taking it to the next level, and leading through this time of ambiguity, where we're going, not a lot of guidance. How are we going to get soldiers trained? We don't know, and we have to think out of the box and push it forward and keep on pushing it forward. And I truly believe that you are the right person right now to take this brigade from where we're at now to where we're going, and with the big gap in the middle of how do we do that in a very constrained environment. So I look forward to working with you. And we'll talk, and we're going to continue to push this forward and make 5th Brigade, one of the best brigades in the division. So I look forward to that. It's going to be a very, very challenging time. I know you're up for it, and I appreciate you taking that on. So again, thank you for everybody putting this together, and good luck to Rich in your future retirement, and to Christine on your future command. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, General Baker. Ladies and gentlemen, the former commander of 5th Brigade, Colonel Richard Delgado, Jr.
Brigadier General Baker, thank you for those comments, and thank you for taking the time to officiate today's ceremony. I had said a few weeks ago during a virtual promotion ceremony, the COVID-19 pandemic has really changed the way that we live and operate. It has changed us as individuals. Again, it's changed us as individuals. It has changed our communities and our country. It has definitely changed the way we operate as an Army. And today's online event is proof of that. I want to welcome and thank everyone for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us on social media. And I hope all are staying safe and healthy. I'd like to extend a special thanks to our distinguished visitors and guests who are online here today. General Baker, as I leave Brigade Command, I'd like to end with the same words I used when I started and share the same message I shared with the new commanders as they assumed command in the brigade. Army Regulations 600-20, Army Command Policy, which we referenced earlier in the ceremony, establishes the authority and responsibility of command. Section 1.5 explains in detail the privilege of command. Leading the sons and daughters of our nation is an absolute privilege. Command at all levels is the ultimate position of trust and a binding contract we have between the military and the American public that we serve. They trust us to lead their children in times of peace and war, to treat them with dignity and respect, and to return them home safely. It has been my humble honor to be given that trust, and it has been my sincere privilege to close out my career as the brigade commander of the 5th Brigade. I couldn't have scripted this any other way. As the commander, you're responsible for everything your unit does and fails to do. That's a heavy burden, and you never seem to have the time to do everything that needs to be done. But with strong commanders and commandants, a professional non-commissioned officer corps, dedicated civilians, and the quality of our soldiers that wear the uniform, it is simply amazing what we can accomplish. Depending on what book you read, mission command is defined several ways. I use the approach of commander's intent, trust, and mutual understanding as the basis of my command philosophy. So with some intent or vision, lots of trust, and shared understanding, the soldiers of the 5th Brigade were able to meet some pretty lofty goals over the last 2 years. For those that aren't familiar with our unit, the 5th Brigade is a schoolhouse brigade responsible for teaching signal military occupational specialties and teaching the technical phases of the signal non-commissioned officer educational system. This is the largest brigade in the 102nd Division in terms of structure and mission. We have 7 sub-organizations spread from California to Rhode Island, and we operate 3 schoolhouses, one in Sacramento, California, one in Tobyhanna, Pennsylvania, and one at Fort Gordon, Georgia. In FY18 to FY20, we graduated over 4,400 signal soldiers, the most in the 80th Training Command. As a schoolhouse brigade, that has significant impact on the readiness of the U.S. Army Reserves and the professionalization of the 25 Series NCO Corps. As I visited the various classrooms across the brigade, I remember one instructor in particular that shared his motivational speech with me. He had given each student a piece of clay to shape and mold into whatever they wanted. He used that as an example of how our training and our professional development shapes and molds the NCO leaders of tomorrow. That stuck with me, and it goes to show the kind of impact this brigade has on our Army. You cannot begin to understand how instructors impacted those 4,000 soldiers and how those soldiers will go on to shape tomorrow and the future. This brigade is also proud to claim the FY19 TRADOC Instructor of the Year, Mr. Ryan Klackenberg. That was a huge accomplishment for the team at High Tech Sacramento, as well as us as an instructor brigade and at the U.S. Army Reserve level. We have deployed instructors to the CENTCOM area of responsibility to move NCO professional development courses to the soldiers downrange so they can continue their development and education while deployed. Even today, as we speak, the 5th Brigade is executing a 25 Lima cable installers course at Fort Hunter Liggett under strict COVID-19 prevention conditions to support an upcoming mobilization of the 335th Theater Signal Command. The adaptability and the resiliency of our soldiers continues to amaze me, even though at this point in my career, I should be used to it. As a schoolhouse brigade, we are also responsible for maintaining the certification of our instructors and accrediting the curriculum and the 3 training centers we operate. In FY19, the brigade received a 98.7 average accreditation score across all 7 of our organizations. We also currently have nearly a 90% instructor certification rate, the highest in the 102nd Division, and a key metric for our instructor brigades. I can go on with what our unit has been able to accomplish, but I need to address perhaps the biggest and most significant effort that we've executed to date. Over the last 6 years, my predecessors and a bunch of people before them laid the foundation to relocate our brigade headquarters. I just happen to have the perfect timing, and I get to take some of that credit for their work. So we actually moved the 5th Brigade headquarters from Sacramento to Fort Gordon, and on 8 March of 2020, we formally planted the 5th Brigade colors on the Army's home of the Signal and Cyber Center of Excellence. As I said at that uncasing ceremony, the timing of that move could not be better. We stand on the cusp of evolutionary changes in modern combat. We are intently focused on soldier and unit readiness, as well as Army modernization efforts to meet the challenges of global competition and the rise of peer and near-peer adversaries. The synergy between the Signal Training Brigade and the Cyber Center of Excellence couldn't be more important. As we teach and train the enlisted signal soldiers of tomorrow to fight and win in a multi-domain battlefield, we must be able to take advantage of the state-of-the-art educational facilities that are coming to Fort Gordon. We must ensure our instructors are armed with the latest technology, doctrine, and skills to own the podium and meet the training needs of tomorrow. We stand ready to support the convergence of signal specialties to meet the needs of our operational signal formations, to prepare soldiers to operate in the complex and contested cyber and signal environment, and to continue to serve as multi-component readiness enablers, providing trained and ready soldiers to the active component, the National Guard, and the Army Reserves. So Colonel Rummel, we have postured the brigade for future success. There's still a long way to go and a lot of work to get done. When all is said and done, we will have had about an 80% turnover due to the headquarters move. But our manpower is already about 70% filled, and we have a quality team of civilians and soldiers at Fort Gordon that have laid the foundation for the brigade at our new home. Someone once said that the Army never makes a mistake, and in this case, I absolutely agree. As General Baker said, you are the perfect officer to take the flag at this point and continue to move the 5th Brigade forward. With our experience and history together deployed in 2017, I know you will be great and couldn't be happier and prouder to be able to hand the colors to you. I can't tell you how relieved I was to see your name on the last brigade command list. Godspeed. I may be overstepping my bounds at this point, but this is my last opportunity to publicly thank some key people for a successful 33-year career in uniform. I will formally be sent to pasture on 1 June 2020. This has been an amazing journey, and again, I wouldn't have scripted it any other way. As my bio notes, I had the privilege of starting my career in the New Mexico National Guard as an enlisted air defense artillery soldier. I would also like to share that my first unit, the 2nd of the 200th Air Defense Battalion, traces back to the 200th Coastal Artillery Regiment, called to active duty and stationed on Corregidor Island during World War II. Growing up in Grant County, I remember a handful of survivors and a lot more veterans of the actual Bataan Death March. And I want to say that I am proud to come from southwestern New Mexico with a rich military tradition of pride, honor, and service. I went on to serve on active duty on the forward edge of freedom as a tank platoon leader with the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment guarding the Fulda Gap from the Russian and the East German hordes at the close of the Cold War. History has a funny way of repeating itself. So if you're a student of history and you still wear the uniform, those training scenarios, they may come back to a sand table or a command post exercise near you. I've also been lucky enough to serve in varying capacities as an Army Reserve soldier, mobilized once and deployed twice. And while it's hard to explain to civilians, and it's especially hard to explain to your family, deployments are kind of why we wear this uniform. To challenge yourself mentally and physically, and to do things that you wouldn't normally get the opportunity to do. No one remembers the easy times, and it's always the darkest and the hardest that forges the bonds of military service. I will always carry the memories of those that I've served with, the men and the women that have shared the hard times, that have led and influenced me, and that have made me a better soldier, a better officer, and a better human. I will refrain from naming names because I will not be able to recognize you all. If you are on today, or perhaps watching the video a little later, I hope you know who you are and how you have impacted me both personally and professionally. I will, however, recognize 3 of my true battle buddies that helped get me through the gauntlet of battalion and brigade command. A commander cannot be successful without steady guidance, mentorship, a very honest opinion, and a little friendship. To Command Sergeant Major Roy Patterson, Command Sergeant Major Sherman Fox, and my latest command teammate, Command Sergeant Major Crespo, a special thank you to the 3 of you. Again, I would not have been successful without your guidance and support. I will miss the constructive feedback, the teamwork, and the nudge or the secret signal telling me that it's time to shut up. And I think that time is nearing here. Before I close, another smart person once told me that the only thing that all of us in uniform have in common, regardless of rank or service, is that one day we will inevitably walk across the stage, we'll get a handshake and some paperwork, and we will return to our families and civilian life. A successful career isn't necessarily about the rank you end with, but if you have a family and a support system waiting for you at the end of that stage. I am successful today because I have a wonderful family and a support system in place as I head into retirement. They all deserve more than I could ever repay. To my mom, Lucille Delgado, my brothers Ray, Ralph, Randy, my sister Priscilla, and my extended family of Delgados, Puentes, and Sanchez, please know that you have shaped and molded me. You gave me the principles, the ethics, the drive, and the faith to get me to today. To my wife, Christine, and our wonderful girls, you are the true heroes in this story. I cannot even begin to imagine life without you and where I might have ended up without your unconditional love and support. I have spent a lot of time gone or busy, and I thank you so much for being here at the end of this proverbial stage. So in the normal tradition of a change of command, I'd like to present flowers to my girls, even though today really isn't exactly normal. To my not so baby girl, Miranda. To Mariah, who just recently is a recent Northern Arizona University grad. So proud. Thank you. To the standard bearer, the oldest, Marissa Delgado. Thank you. Thank you so much. And to my better 80%, my lovely wife, Christine. Thank you. So on behalf of our family, I'd like to close by saying thank you all for today and for the last 33 years. To the civilians and the soldiers of 5th Brigade, you're simply amazing. Thank you so much.
I just want to say congratulations to my husband for all his hard work. And to Christine, good luck to you. And to all that are viewing today, God bless you and hope to keep you all safe out there. Thank you.
This is Colonel Delgado for the last time. Schoolhouse 6 out.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander of 5th Brigade, Colonel Christine Rommel.
Brigadier General Baker, special guests, fellow commanders, family, and friends, thank you for taking your time to share this special day in this very unique environment. I've been told that the reason we have 2 ears and 1 mouth is so we can listen twice as much as we speak. So as the new commander with much to learn, I will keep this short. I first would like to thank Rich and Christine for all your hard work and dedication over the last 2 years. When I first met Rich 3 years ago prior to a deployment, I knew immediately that I had met a kindred spirit. The accomplishments of the brigade and its soldiers speak of your time as the command team, and I wish you the best as you transition to the next phase of your life in your much deserved retirement. I'm very proud to be here today and humbled by this opportunity to take the mantle of this command. I realize that none of this could be accomplished without the unwavering support of my family and friends, who have always encouraged me in this journey through the good and the bad, and the mentorship I have received from some great leaders throughout my career. And thanks to the marvels of technology, I'm grateful to have my parents and family and friends joining me from the safety of their homes during this unique time. Thank you. Lastly, for the soldiers of 5th Brigade, thank you for volunteering to serve this great nation and the many personal sacrifices you have made along the way. The reputation of 5th Brigade and its abilities and accomplishments precedes it, and these are a reflection of your efforts. I know of no other place I would rather be than taking my place in the history of this organization. I know our mission is complex, but if we stick to the basics of leadership, training, maintaining ourselves, developing subordinate leaders, and always caring for soldiers and families, that there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. I am here today promising my full support, dedication, and commitment to these tenets. All current policies and procedures remain in effect. Thank you. Schoolhouse 6 signing on.
Thank you, Colonel Rommel. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the benediction by Chaplain Montgomery and remain standing for the Army song played by the U.S. Army Field Band.
Let us pray. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.
Sing a song in the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First to fight for the right and to bear the nation's might. When the army was rolling along, proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won. When the army was rolling along, then it's high, high, hey, the army's on its way. Come on, the brigade is on its roll. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army will surely go on.
Sir, this concludes today's ceremony.
Commander, take charge of your soldiers.
This concludes the 5th Brigade Signal Change of Command ceremony. Thank you for attending. Today's ceremony will be available on the 102nd Training Division Facebook page. Have a pleasant weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy. One team, signal ready.